My stepdaughter said, "You're not the one who makes rules." So I stopped enforcing them and stopped paying for consequences. School called her MOM next. I wasn't supposed to be the villain. Not in the house I kept standing. Not in the life I tried to graft together with 2 bleeding hands and a bleeding wallet. But if you'd walked into that dining room on a Tuesday night, you'd think I was the enemy. The stranger. The shadow cast too long across someone else's family photo. My name's Alex. 41. I've been married to Hannah for 4 years. Her daughter, Sky, was 13 when I met her. She's 17 now, and I swear she looks at me like I'm the substitute teacher she plans to flunk just for fun. I have a son too, Ben. He's 11. Quiet kid. Kind. He doesn't know how to fight back yet. Not like she does. We live or lived in a house outside Austin. Technically, it was Hannah's house. She got it in the divorce. But emotionally, spiritually, that house ran on my paychecks. Mortgage, utilities, property taxes, insurance, car repairs, Wi-Fi, college prep tutors. Every click of that girl's phone screen was powered by me. But you'd never know it from how they treated me. Sky was polite in the beginning, almost coldly so. Thanks here. Sure there. Always filtered through her mother's presence. Like I only existed if Hannah was looking. That changed around year 2. The smiles disappeared. Then came the eye rolls, the one-word answers, the muttered complaints. She teased Ben for drawing, called him clingy, laughed when he cried. And Hannah? She sighed. Always sighed. She's going through a phase. Or worse. Don't make it a thing. I tried. God, I tried. Family game nights. Cookouts. Drives to the mall when she needed new shoes. I even helped with her essay on The Great Gatsby, the one she left on her desk until midnight. But every offering I laid down was either ignored or met with suspicion. It wasn't just indifference. It was strategy. A deliberate, grinding erasure of my presence. I'd come home from work. Long hours at the construction firm, body aching from hauling materials under the Texas sun, and she'd be spread out on the couch, laptop open, Netflix humming, plates stacked beside her like a shrine to laziness. I'd ask her to clean up. She'd shrug. Sometimes she wouldn't even respond. Just stare through me like I was background noise. Ben noticed. Kids always do. He'd ask me, quietly, if he could still call me Dad even though Sky didn't. That question gutted me more than anything Sky ever said. Because it meant he saw the weight I was dragging. He felt the cold edge of being second place in a house where we should have been equal. I remember one night, Sky ordered food without asking anyone. Uber Eats. Some overpriced sushi. The delivery guy knocked. She took the bag, walked past me and Ben at the table and said, "There's none for you." With a smile so smug it felt choreographed. Hannah? She just looked tired. Said nothing. Poured herself a glass of wine. So I became the enforcer. The guy who had to remind her to take her shoes off inside. To not leave wet towels on the carpet. To maybe, just maybe, say something kind to the kid who was trying to be her brother. And every time I opened my mouth, I could feel it. The way her body stiffened, the way Hannah braced herself, like I was the problem for not tolerating the rot. I had become a stranger in a house I paid for. Still, I clung to civility. Still believed that structure would breed respect. That if I just kept showing up, kept paying, kept holding the damn beams of this broken roof together, maybe one day she'd look at me and see a man worth listening to. A man worth respecting. Then came the Tuesday night. Cooked. Steak. Mashed potatoes. Green beans because Ben liked them. Sky sat down late. Still in her hoodie, phone in hand. Tapping. Smirking at the screen. I said, "Phone down. It's dinner." She didn't even blink. Didn't look up. Just said, flat as asphalt, "You don't make the rules here." I stared at her. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. She was right. I didn't. Not really. I never had. I looked at Hannah. She looked at her plate. Then I looked at Ben, who was already pushing food around with his fork, pretending not to be there. And something in me went quiet. Not broken. Just still. Like a machine finally shutting down after overheating for too long. I didn't argue. Didn't yell. Didn't finish my food. I stood up, walked to the sink, rinsed my plate, set it down carefully, and realized I'd been financing a fantasy where I mattered. That night, I lay in bed beside Hannah, her back to me, her breathing slow and deliberate like she was pretending to sleep. I stared at the ceiling, listened to the tick of the ceiling fan, and ran the numbers in my head. Mortgage, $2,100 a month. Utilities, $450. Car insurance, $180. Her car, not mine. Internet, $95. That Wi-Fi she buried her life in. Streaming subscriptions. Groceries. School fees. Gas. Repairs. I paid for everything. I funded the disrespect. So the next morning, before the sun was fully up, I made a pot of coffee. I sat with my laptop, logged into my accounts, and started canceling. Auto payments? Gone. Mortgage? Not my name on the deed. Let her figure it out. Car insurance? Cancelled. She could call her ex or take the bus. Internet? Shut off by noon. Let them sit with silence for once. College application accounts? Passwords changed. My credit card removed. No more silent subsidies. No more pouring into a cup that cracked on purpose. I didn't leave a note. I didn't make a scene. I just stopped paying. 2 days later, the school called. Sky had missed classes. They wanted to speak with a parent. I said calmly, "You should call her mother." That weekend, her car wouldn't start. Battery dead. I used to jump it for her. This time, I watched from the porch as she fiddled with the cables, cursing, then called someone else. Hannah asked if I could look at it. I said, "Ask her dad." The silence that followed wasn't bitter. It was clean, cold, honest. And when the Wi-Fi went dark, Sky finally came downstairs, eyes wild, demanding, "Did you forget to pay the internet?" I looked her in the eyes. No, I remembered. She stared, confused, waiting for more. I didn't give it. That was the sound of me no longer funding chaos. And for the first time in years, I slept like a man who had stopped trying to earn a place that was never being offered. There's a silence that follows betrayal. Not loud, not dramatic, just cold, still, like a house after the furnace dies. That's what I felt in the days after I stopped paying. Not rage, not guilt, just silence. Sky barely came out of her room. The Wi-Fi outage hit her like a natural disaster. The apps didn't load. Her calls dropped. The world she vanished into every night had collapsed. Ben noticed first. He said the house felt too quiet, like even the air had stopped moving. Hannah stayed late at work more often. Said she had extra patients. Said the clinic was understaffed. I didn't question it. I think she was just avoiding me. Avoiding the thing sitting in the living room, sipping black coffee and pretending not to exist. But I did exist. I existed in every unpaid bill, in every network unavailable screen, in the silence of a stalled engine, in the rejection notice from the college Sky forgot to finish applying to because her internet cut out halfway. I was still there, just not useful anymore. And that made me visible in a new way, like a wall someone only notices when they slam into it. 1 week passed, then 2, and then came the final moment. Not loud, not cruel, just the sentence that unclipped the last hook I had tied to that house. It was Sunday morning. I just made eggs for Ben. He likes them scrambled with pepper and way too much cheese. Sky came into the kitchen reeking of cigarette smoke. Her hoodie hung off her shoulder, exposing a fresh burn on her forearm. An accident or a symbol? I didn't know. She walked toward the garage like it belonged to her, like it always had. I followed, not to stop her, just to ask. "Don't smoke in the garage," I said. "The smell clings to the walls. I've told you that." She didn't even pause. She flicked the unlit cigarette across the floor, let it skid under the shelving unit, and looked at me with eyes hollow as a busted bulb. "You don't get to tell me what to do," she said. "You're not my dad." I didn't respond. She waited, wanted a fight, wanted a scene, but I gave her nothing. I walked back inside, and I began to pack. I didn't slam drawers. I didn't throw things. I just folded. One shirt after another. Ben's schoolwork. The documents we'd need. Our IDs. Birth certificates. Insurance cards. I filled a duffel with 3 pairs of jeans, 5 shirts, toiletries. I didn't take more than we needed. I wasn't fleeing. I was choosing. Ben sat on the edge of the bed, watching me with wide eyes. "Are we leaving?" he asked. I nodded once. Just for a while. He didn't cry. That scared me more than if he had. He'd grown used to silence, to disappearing. Sunday noon, I left the house key on the kitchen counter. No note, just the key. It lay next to the burnt-out wick of a candle I had bought the first month I moved in. It was supposed to smell like cedar. It had never smelled like anything. Ben carried his backpack. I carried the duffel. We didn't look back. We moved into a 2-bedroom apartment across town. Near my job. Small. Cheap. But clean. No clutter. No ghosts. Ben called it our little ship. Said it felt like we were finally sailing away from something. I smiled. But inside I felt wrecked. That first night we ate pizza on the floor. No plates. Just the box between us. He asked if we were coming back. I told him, "Not soon." He nodded. "Okay." I asked if he missed Sky. He said, "No. I miss Mom, though." I didn't answer, because I missed her too. But I missed the version of her that hadn't existed for years. The one who used to pull me close at night. The one who used to make 2 cups of coffee every morning without being asked. The one who used to text me just to say she loved me. That woman had vanished the moment her daughter needed an ally more than a mother. And I couldn't compete with blood, no matter how many bills I paid. The next morning, I brewed coffee in a chipped mug from the corner store, sat by the window, listened to the quiet. There was no banging from upstairs, no muffled laughter at my expense, no slammed doors, no slurs muttered under teenage breath. For the first time in 4 years, I wasn't paying to feel unwanted. 2 days passed. Then the calls started. First it was Hannah. Soft voice, like nothing had happened. "Hey, are you okay? Where are you?" I said we were safe. That's all. Then she asked if we were coming back. I said, "No, not now." She didn't ask why. She already knew. A day later, the tone changed. "You can't just walk out like this," she said. "It's not fair to Ben. Or to me." Fair. That word hit harder than anything Sky had said. I had given up years of my life to a house that was never mine. A daughter who wasn't mine. A woman who stopped seeing me the moment I stopped being convenient. And now she wanted to talk about fairness. I told her the truth. I didn't walk out. I stopped being tolerated. Then I hung up. By the weekend, the desperation crept in. She showed up at my new place. Not unannounced. I had given her the address for emergencies. She used it. Ben let her in. His face lit up. He hugged her. She held him tight. I watched from the hallway. She looked thinner, paler, makeup smudged, hair unwashed. "I didn't know it was this bad," she said, barely louder than a whisper. I didn't answer. She looked around the apartment like it was a crime scene, like she couldn't believe I had built something without her. "You did so much for us," she said finally. "Why are you doing this now?" I didn't scream. I didn't insult her. I showed her a stack of receipts. Every bill I had paid. Every auto debit. Every charge linked to Sky's name. I placed the final envelope on top. The one that held the rejection letter from her college. The one that said application incomplete. I looked her in the eyes. "When was the last time you defended me in your house?" She didn't answer. She cried. I stayed quiet. 2 weeks passed. Then a month. Sky got a retail job. Fast food, I think. Minimum wage. Her debit card had been declined, probably for the 5th time. Her car sat idle. No insurance. No gas. I heard from a mutual friend that she started carpooling with a girl she used to make fun of in high school. Hannah picked up extra shifts. Started wearing the same scrubs 3 days in a row. I know because Ben noticed. Kids always do. The electricity company sent a shut-off warning. Then a final notice. Their sentence, "You don't run this house," had turned into, Wait, you really left? I kept waiting for an apology. It never came, but a letter did. 2 months in, I opened the mailbox and saw it. My name scrawled in awkward cursive. No return address, just Alex on the front. Inside was a folded piece of notebook paper. It was from Sky. She didn't say sorry. Not exactly. She wrote, "I didn't know how much you did. I thought you just wanted control. I didn't understand how hard things were until you stopped doing them. I was jealous of Ben. I saw how much you cared for him. I didn't know how to let you care for me too. I don't expect anything from this. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. You weren't the enemy." I read it twice, then again. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was growth. And that mattered more. Because forgiveness is cheap. Growth is earned. I didn't reply. Not yet. Some words need time to stretch their legs. I just folded the letter, tucked it into a drawer with the rest of the unpaid debts, and sat with the weight of it. And for the first time, it didn't crush me. The thing about peace is, it costs. You don't just walk away from years of sacrifice and wake up clean. There's a toll, an ache, even when you're right, especially when you're right. After the letter from Sky, I waited. Not because I wanted more, not because I expected some grand gesture. I just needed space, to process, to feel the weight of what I'd carried without immediately picking it up again. Ben and I settled into a rhythm. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. School runs, grocery store trips, Friday night movies on the couch with microwave popcorn. The little things, quiet things, became rituals. No slammed doors, no contempt humming beneath the walls. Just room to breathe. Sometimes he'd ask if Hannah was okay. I told him yes, even when I didn't know. Because that's what fathers do. We shield them from truths too sharp for their age. But some days I think he knew anyway. The way he hugged me longer. The way he checked the locks at night. Like he was afraid of someone taking this away. 3 months after we left, Hannah sent a text. "Can we talk?" I ignored it. Not out of spite. Out of preservation. I knew if I answered too soon, I'd hear her sadness, not her accountability. And I wasn't interested in being pulled back by tears without change. Instead, I went to work, paid bills, took Ben to the park, taught him how to fry an egg without burning the edges. Every day, I built something with him that wasn't fragile. But the world has a way of knocking when it wants to remind you of what you left behind. It was a Thursday evening. I had just gotten home. My hands still smelled like sawdust. Ben was at a friend's house. The apartment was still. And then my phone rang. Blocked number. I almost let it go. But something in my gut made me answer. It was Hannah. Her voice cracked like old wood. "Alex, I don't know what to do." I stayed silent. She kept going. Rambling. Saying too much too fast. I heard it all spill out. Sky had quit her job. Said it was demeaning. She had applied to one community college. Got in. Then missed the registration deadline. Blamed the system. Hannah had fallen behind on rent. Utilities were past due. She'd maxed out one credit card trying to keep the internet on. The landlord had issued a final warning. "And now," she whispered, "we're being evicted." I closed my eyes. Not because I was surprised. Because it hurt exactly the way I knew it would. "I don't know what to tell her anymore," she said. "She looks at me like I failed. And maybe I did. Could have said a lot. Could have reminded her of the nights I asked for support. The dinners where I was mocked in silence. The garage standoff. The moment Sky declared I had no authority in the house I kept warm. But I didn't. Because she already knew. She said she'd understand if I never came back. "I just needed you to know. We're sinking." I thanked her for calling. Then I hung up. And I sat in that tiny apartment, feeling the pull of two forces inside me. Justice and mercy. Justice said, "Let them learn. Let them fall. They wrote the script." Mercy said, "You loved them once. You still do." But I didn't move. That night I didn't sleep. Not because I wanted to rescue them. Because I knew I couldn't. Not like before. Not without losing what I'd found. A few days later, Ben asked if we could drive by the old house. Why? I asked. I just want to see if it's still there. I knew what he meant. Kids don't need language to tell the truth. We drove past on Saturday. The front yard was brown, overgrown. A sagging for rent sign jammed into the dirt like an insult. The porch light was out. The windows were empty. I didn't point it out. Didn't say, see? Ben just looked. Quiet. Then whispered, "It doesn't feel like home anymore." I squeezed his shoulder. It isn't. By the end of the month, I got another letter. This time from Hannah. Typed. Neat. Short. She said they were living in a 2-bedroom apartment near her clinic. Said she was making it work. Said Sky was volunteering somewhere. Not sure where, but it was something. Then she said, "I wish I had stood up for you. I was afraid of losing her if I didn't take her side. I didn't realize I was losing you instead." No ask. No plea. Just an admission. I didn't reply. Not because it meant nothing. Because it meant something. Later that week, Ben found Sky's letter in my drawer. The old one. The one where she said she was jealous. Where she admitted she saw now what she hadn't before. "Are you going to write her back?" he asked. "Maybe," I said. "But not yet." He nodded. "She misses you," he said. "Do you?" I asked. He looked down, then up. "Sometimes. But I don't miss how she treated you." That night I sat with his words. Let them echo. Don't miss what broke you. Miss what it was supposed to be. There's a myth that walking away makes you cruel. That staying is noble. But some forms of staying are just slow forms of dying. I know that now. For months after we left, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Sky. Her voice had dropped. Deeper. Slower. "Hi," she said. "I just wanted to say, I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know I get it now. All of it." I didn't know what to say. She continued, "You were always there. I just didn't want to see it. Because if I admitted it, I'd have to admit he wasn't." She meant her father. The one who vanished. The one she used to quote like gospel. "I blamed you for not being him. But he wasn't even there to be blamed." Her voice cracked. Just once. I don't know what kind of person that makes me. I let the silence hold her. Then I said, "It makes you a person. Not a finished one. But a growing one." She thanked me. Said goodbye. Didn't ask for help. Didn't mention college. Just wanted to say what she hadn't. When I hung up, I didn't cry. But I felt something loosen. Like a belt too tight finally undone. Maybe that's what healing is. Not a reunion. Not a grand gesture. Just a moment where someone tells the truth out loud. And the world doesn't end. Ben came into the room. Saw the look on my face. "Was it her?" he asked. I nodded. "Are we going back?" "No," I said. "We're not going back." He sat beside me. "Good," he said. "I like it here." I smiled. And for the first time I believed him. Because the place we built wasn't perfect. But it was honest. And that made it sacred. A year isn't much, unless you've lived it outside of someone else's shadow. Then it's everything. Ben and I hit our 1-year mark in the apartment last Sunday. We didn't throw a party. We didn't even mention it. But I knew. I felt it in my bones the way you feel the seasons shift. Not suddenly, but certainly. There's a kind of peace that builds like sediment layer by quiet layer, until one day you realize you're standing on solid ground. I make pancakes every Sunday now. It's a ritual. Ben sits at the kitchen table sketching his latest obsession. Spaceships, mostly. I pour the batter slow, careful, like I'm building something sacred. Because I am. I don't yell in this house. I don't defend my right to exist. I just exist. That alone feels like a miracle. Sometimes Ben asks about Hannah. Less often now. The questions come in sideways, hidden in other conversations. "Do you think Mom still works at the clinic? Do you think Sky has a car now? Would it be okay if I sent her something for her birthday?" I never say no. I tell him, they're learning. That's more important than being okay. Because I'm not interested in painting villains anymore. That's not what this was ever about. It wasn't about revenge. It was about value. Self-worth isn't something you can demand from others. It's something you refuse to surrender. And I had surrendered mine one bill at a time, one insult at a time, until there was nothing left but a man holding a family that didn't want him. Not anymore. I give less now. But what I give fully. And it's received. Ben's laugh doesn't sound hollow. His drawings have gotten better. His shoulders don't sag like they used to when voices were raised in rooms he wasn't part of. He's safe here. I can see it. Feel it. He hugs me without being asked. Tells me he loves me without worrying who's listening. That's the kind of wealth I never had in the old house. That house, by the way, Hannah's house, went up for sale 3 months ago. No buyers. Not a surprise. The siding was warped, the lawn overgrown, and the foundation, well, that had always been cracked. Just no one wanted to admit it. Eventually, they moved into a smaller place. I heard through a neighbor. A modest apartment near her clinic. Sky doesn't live with her anymore. She moved in with a friend, maybe two. Something temporary. Maybe trying to piece things together on her own. I don't take joy in any of it. I don't need to. Pain isn't proof that you were right. Distance is. I've learned that the most powerful thing a man can do is leave without slamming the door. Just walk out. Quiet. Certain. Done. Because they always notice after. They always feel the air change when the man who held it all together stops holding. I kept every receipt. Not just the financial ones. The emotional ones. The nights I cooked for people who ate in silence. The holidays I spent smiling through rejection. The hours I held Ben close while Hannah looked the other way. I don't regret leaving. I regret waiting so long. I regret the versions of myself I burned through trying to earn what should have been given freely. But even regret is lighter now. Sometimes I think about Sky. About that letter. The one where she admitted she lashed out because she didn't know how to let someone care for her. That stuck with me. Because I think a lot of us don't. Not really. We grow up thinking love is something that demands suffering. That whoever endures the most wins. But that's not love. That's survival. And I'm not surviving anymore. I'm living. Last week, Sky sent another letter. She said she's in therapy. She said she wants to be better. She didn't ask to visit. Didn't ask for money. Just said, "Thank you for walking away when you did. It taught me everything staying never could." I read that line 5 times. Then I cried. Not out of sadness. Out of recognition. Because I had finally been seen. Not as the villain, not as the outsider, but as the man who set the standard by leaving. I showed them the cost of disrespect. I showed them what it means to lose someone who carried more than they ever acknowledged. And that's the lesson. Not that I was perfect. Not that I didn't make mistakes. But that I had value. That my effort meant something. That my leaving was not abandonment. It was the most honest form of staying true to myself. There's a photo on our fridge now. Ben and me. He's got pancake batter on his nose. I'm laughing. Something I didn't do much in the old house. My arm is around him. Tight. Protective. Proud. That's our family. No pretense. No performances. Just love. Quiet and real. Sometimes people ask if I'd ever go back. If Hannah called. If Sky apologized in person. If things changed. And I tell them the truth. Going back would undo everything I had to become. Because I'm not the same man who walked into that house 4 years ago hoping to build a family. I'm the man who walked out. Not to escape. But to build one where I could finally be whole. So now I'll ask you, whoever's still listening. Was I wrong? Was I wrong to cancel the payments, walk away, draw a line no one else would draw? Was I wrong to put my foot down when the house treated me like a bank account with a name they never bothered to use? Was I wrong to stop paying for disrespect? Or was that the only thing left to do? Because here's what I know now. Peace doesn't come from patience. It comes from boundaries. Love doesn't mean sacrifice without end. It means being seen. And family? Family isn't blood. It's who shows up. It's who stays. It's who thanks you when you give, and who mourns you when you leave. So tell me, if you were me, if you stood in my shoes, in that kitchen, on that porch, beside that broken girl with her cigarette and her silence, would you have stayed? Would you have kept paying? Would you have watched yourself vanish just to keep the lights on in a house where no one ever said thank you? Or would you have walked? Would you have drawn the line? Would you have made them feel the cost? Because that's the final truth. Respect has a price. And I was done paying it.